Creative Conversations, where creatives connect and inspire. I'm Sophia, and today we'll be diving into the creative world of Al Stuart. We'll be talking about his past as an art director and his career as a photographer. Let's get started. So, art director. What is an art director? Could you possibly explain to people that don't know?
Yes, it's somebody who gets other people to do the work for them.
Sounds brilliant.
Come up with an idea.
Yeah.
And then either brief a illustrator or a photographer.
Okay.
I mean, my art college background, I sort of stumbled into advertising as a junior art director. And then, it was doing concepts for ads with a copywriter. You work as a team and brief a photographer.
Ah, fantastic.
And then go along and direct him, I suppose.
So who did you do that for? Or was it for yourself? Who were you directing? Agencies.
Yeah, I worked in various agencies, small ones, medium-sized ones. Working on some good stuff. I mean, budgets and things have changed now. I worked on NatWest, everything but the television. And it was when they were spending money and accepting nice ideas rather than just get a mortgage from us. Yeah. We did some quite creative ideas.
So would this be for adverts?
It was adverts, posters, and all that stuff you get in branch, where there'd be like a dispenser that have leaflets in. So when you shot something, and this is pre-digital, if I went along to a shoot, I used to take a piece of tracing paper that had sort of the reduced dimensions of all the things that had to fit in. So it'd be okay for, you do a wide shot, it's also got to fit in a portrait-shaped shot.
Sounds confusing.
Yes, it was. But yeah, it was for various agencies. Used different photographers, depending on, the budget, obviously.
Amazing. And how long did you do that for then?
I started work the day after Led Zeppelin played NatWest in 1979.
That's a way to remember.
The end of an era. And I worked my first job, I think I learnt more in a week than I did 4 years at art college. Art college, I learned how to have a good time.
Yeah. They don't prepare you for industry, do they, really, art school? Did you? Well, I went to Winchester School of Art and they taught me how to be a print designer, but going self-employed, I feel like it's just figuring it out as you go along.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Yeah, the college I went to, the course was just terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it was a shocking course. Just came away without, a pretty terrible portfolio, really. I had this qualification, which I thought was important. And of course, when you go to these places, they don't care about what paper you've got. They just want to see what your work looks like.
Yeah.
So I got the job. I think partly because my mother insisted that if I was going to, this is when I still lived up north, if I'm coming to London for an interview, I better wear a suit. So I had a 3-piece wool suit on, and I arrived, and everyone else was in jeans, t-shirts with sort of,
quite edgy.
Sort of hippie stuff. And the best agency I worked at was Bose Massimi Pollitt, that used to do things like the Smash Martians, John Smith's Bitter. They did some great, real award-winning stuff. And I was always in the bit which was just a little bit below in the department that wasn't quite handling the top stuff. And then,
but close enough.
But yeah, and then I worked in smaller agencies where I was more the sort of senior person. I had more free rein to kind of do what I wanted to do, I suppose.
Yeah, amazing.
But it's just I think it's the same now. It's still quite a risky business where, every two and a half years you get made redundant.
Really?
Yeah, the creative director, it's a bit like football.
Yeah.
Like the manager. I want those players. I want my players. So you lot can go away. Or they lose an account. That was my last full-time job. And that was the final straw for me because it was a small startup. they messed the client. Well, they were ripping the client off. I won't say who it was, and they were found out.
Oh no!
Yeah, and they had two creative teams, me and my writer, and then another team, and we were the senior team, so we earned more money than them. So it's like, how could we save some money? I know, and that was it. Black bag time.
Oh really?
And gone. Yeah, and I just thought at that point, and I was freelancing for a bit after that.
Yeah.
But I just thought. And it was all round about the time. It sounds like a million years ago. When I did ideas, and worked with a copywriter, we'd sit down. I'd quite often think of headlines for things, but all the visuals were very kind of loose and magic marker, and you'd show the client something. Yeah, it's a man in a car, and there's a mountain behind or whatever.
Imagine if you had AI then, it would have been a lot easier to explain what you were creating. But you might have been out of a job at the same time because you could just create it.
Well, it was round about the time when, and I know some of the photographers I commissioned just had to pack it in and pack it in. And a guy I used quite often, he said to me, I'm gonna emigrate to Australia. I can't get enough work here because stock libraries, that was just when Macs were coming out, and people, it was like, find a picture of a man with a business suit and a purple tie. So you'd spend hours trawling through, and there were always American pictures, so it was quite tricky anyway.
Yeah.
And he says, oh yeah, it's either stock libraries or smaller agencies are using people like you because you've got a decent eye, you can take a photograph, you know what you're doing, and you're not going to cost $4,000 a day because you're not having to pay for a studio and all the assistants. And they'll just say, nip out and do some pictures, Al, will you? So this guy emigrated, and I also found when I was going for interviews for stuff that they wanted more than just ideas. They wanted you to finish visuals for the client, and then even down to doing the finished artwork. And I went, I don't do that. Sorry.
No.
Anyway.
You have your niche and what you're good at, and you know it.
Yeah. It's.
So, what do you think is the biggest difference between how you approach creativity in your advertising compared to now?
I think it has influenced me a bit. Only particularly with trying to organise stuff. I think, and I go. I'm doing photography now mainly for me or whoever I've shot in the main, and I do things like I go and recce stuff like the week before, just because certainly in London, if you're using a location for something, things change, or they close stuff off, or they decide they're going to put scaffolding up, or just things like that. I think it's just
challenge.
Being organised for doing stuff and thinking about, what happens if the weather's rubbish, or and like I say, it's mainly for me. I did a lot of photography for music magazines. I've sort of stopped doing them.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We got my brother's a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the brains of the operation. He's an utter genius. And we got working for a classic rock magazine spin-off. And we were recommended by a PR person. Said, "Oh, if you want guys to go to gigs in London, these two are out every night," which we were out a lot. And then, but I've kind of stopped doing that now because it's certainly in small venues. It's like it's too much like an endurance event.
Yeah.
Because you say, I'll say, when are you on stage? And you go, I'm on at 9. There's 2 support bands. There's no seats in the place. So I've got to get, and it's a small venue, and I want to get some nice pictures of you. So I'll stand right down the front of the stage, and then I can't move. If I got someone with me, that helps. I need to go to the toilet. I need to go and get another beer. Or can you just watch my camera bags? Because I've got, But if you're on your own and you move, that's it. Someone else will be in your spot. And it's like...
Oh, I bet that's a bit of a faff when trying to get a good photo.
And then photo passes. I used to get... as a PR guy, I used to do big gigs at Shepherd's Bush and Hammersmith.
Okay.
So there's a proper photographer's pit there. So you get your photo. You said, "Do you want to?" And there was no money changed hands on those. A lot of those things. Do you want to? Do you want to go and see so and so? Yeah. And you get a ticket as well for the rest of the gig. First 3 songs, and then they throw you out. And they insist that you leave your camera bag at this kind of back door of the place. So you've left like 16 grams worth of nickel and stuff, along with everybody else who's got exactly the same bag. And they give you a laundry ticket. So you're sitting watching the rest of the gig thinking, I hope my stuff's still there when this is finished.
Oh my God, that would terrify me.
Yeah. No, I
Sorry. Do you want to carry?
No. I still do occasional bit of music. I did some stuff. There's a girl I photographed called Ellie Harris, and I go and take pictures of her. Ellie Harris, yeah.
Oh, I have to check her out.
She's
she a singer?
She plays piano. Her band are insanely talented. They're kind of jazz trained, so they all look. Including her, look incredibly young.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, the pictures. I've taken loads of pictures of her. And people are going, blimey, how old's she? And she makes a joke of it now in between songs. Yeah, this next one I wrote when I was 16, which wasn't last week. She's actually 25, but she looks about 15.
Fantastic. She should model.
Yeah, I mean, she's been at my home studio a few times, and she's getting more and more relaxed each time she comes, and she kind of I'm nice to see she uses my pictures as little kind of promo things she played at the piano bar Smithfield last week. So
oh wow, amazing.
Yeah, so that's
lovely.
Quite good.
You do take some great photographs though. I love your portfolio. I was having another look at it the other day and it's fantastic. Your street photography is awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to do more. Certainly when I started doing this sort of stuff, there was more of an idea behind it, rather than just taking pictures of nice looking ladies. I don't want to. I know there is that kind of like old men taking pictures of younger,
especially out in public, isn't it? I've gone out with photographers for street photography before, and people look at you like you're doing something terribly wrong, even if you're like fully clothed. You dress like. I'm not saying you'd go out naked, but you know what I mean. Like I'm not wandering around with a pair of hot pants on.
I know.
But they straight away think. You know what? I was about to shout pervert. I mean, I had to do that.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? They're like, wrong un.
I know. No, I do. Yes, I am aware of that.
Some photographers get a bad rap because of others, though, because there's so many amazing, lovely, creative photographers, and you are one of them that have an eye for it and want to shoot cool stuff. Right? People don't get that. They don't understand what we're trying to achieve here.
Oh no. No. I know. Yeah, people tend to think it's going to be. You just want to get them in the bra and knickers in your sort of. It's almost like in the old days, pre-digital days, where they had those cruises on the Thames where they get an ex-page 3 girl, and then the blokes would all have cameras, but not necessarily with any film in them.
Oh God,
because
that's awful.
They could just pretend to be taking pictures. No one's going to check up because it's like I say, it's pre-digital. No one's posting anything anywhere. But
But you have a series that you want to start soon, or you have started with the angel wings.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And is that inspired by Peter Limber?
Yes, yeah. There's a picture of, I can never remember her name. She's just turned 50 as well.
Famous model.
Yeah, one of the. Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she.
Kate Moss?
No, older than that. She was part of she's American. She's part of the Christy Turlington crowd, the original lot. Amber Valletta, that's who it is. Amber Valletta, yes. And there's a picture of her. There's 2 pictures of her. The one where she's just looking a bit forlorn, and she's got wings on, which I don't think are as good as mine, actually. But it's in a New York street and it's black and white. And then there's another one, which is probably more impressive, and it's obviously shot from the top of a skyscraper onto the top of another skyscraper, and she's very small, but it's black and white again. And it's just, you can just see the shape with the kind of like the little white wings. And I thought, well, that'll be good. Yeah. So I got the wings made in Poland.
Wow, that's a bit fancy, isn't it?
Well, I tried to find angel wings if you look online.
Yeah.
And they're all those kind of like hen party ones that pink ones that light up. And then I can't remember how I found it, but this woman makes these wings.
Are they big wings?
Yeah, they're big. I have to. Yeah, the only way to transport them is either. I don't do this. I thought, how am I going to get these into town? I could wear them because they're two separate, and they've got like a bolt that goes through.
Oh wow!
So they'd fit. But I only ever shoot them on one person.
Why on one person? Yeah. Is it for the whole series to be the same person, like a story?
I just think. Well, it was Harriet that I shot. She's another model. Harriet Cutler. She is a model. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I know you're a model, but a lot of the people I shoot aren't models. But she is a model.
Yeah.
Although I think she's kind of part-time now. I'd shot her before, and I thought she'd be perfect for that. And I've shot every single one I've done. It's been her. I mean, her hair's changed. She's a redhead, but sometimes it's ginger, and her hair's actually quite long now.
Yeah.
And a few people have said to me, "Oh, can we do some angel wings?" And I've gone, "No, we're not going to. No, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be. Oh, yeah, you're the guy that does the everyone wearing angel wings." And
I get that.
And I don't want to do it. So it's always her. I mean, I shot her recently. And we'd talked. It wasn't an angel wings thing, but I did say I need to try and think of something else. Mm. There's something I'd like to redo, which was the DLR shoot. We're in the DLR, but it was like the perfect storm, a bit like today, really. It was half term, so the thing was busy. There was a fault on the thing, so the trains were delayed, and because there were so many people, because there's no staff on those trains normally. Well, it was the day I did this.
Oh, no.
There's 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah. One of them was opening the doors. The other one was kind of like down the other end. And then the other guy comes up to me and goes, "So, what do you think you're doing?" I said, "I'm doing some photographs of a friend of mine." "I can see that." I said, "It's non-commercial. It's for me and it's for her."
Yeah. They never believe that, though,
No,
do they?
He goes, "Oh, well, you say that." He said, "But you've got the big cameras." And
a big camera.
Yeah.
God.
And then he said, "And you look like you know what you're doing."
Well, that's a compliment.
Can I have that in writing, please? So we had to get off. And, I got some, but I'd quite like to do that one again. But, yeah, I mean, my big inspiration, my other inspiration is Annie Leibovitz.
Oh, say the name again?
Annie Leibovitz.
Annie Leibovitz. And
she started in the 60s in the Rolling... So we've run out of... In... shooting for Rolling Stone magazine, doing music, funny enough, and then she does these kind of grand things for Vogue magazine and Vanity Fair. And
I just remembered, is this where you made something out of bin bags or something?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Oh, go on, explain.
That's the one. Well, it's in this book. It's the.
Oh, let's have a look. What's this?
I'll show
Anne
you.
Leibovitz. Did I say that right?
Leibovitz, yeah.
Anne Leibovitz.
I saw this picture and assumed it was. Bin bags, but it's not. It's a really, really expensive dress. But I recreated it with
wow.
With yeah.
That's amazing.
She's got a lot of people don't like her. A lot of photographers don't.
The fact it's made of bin bags?
No, her whole thing is
really?
What people don't.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, she started off shooting the Rolling. This is the classic '70s story where the kind of thing which will never happen again. Which is like. Take pictures, don't you? I'm starting a magazine called Do You Fancy Going on Tour with the Rolling Stones? So she did that. She shot with the Allman Brothers Band and all the rest of it. But then when she started doing fashion, of course, she's at the stage now where if she does a shoot, she'll have lights, she'll have assistants.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to sort of do much at all. In fact, she'll probably get someone else. And people really resent her. And I think, well, she's flipping well earned. She's earned.
Yeah.
The other thing that I shot that you might have seen of mine, which was like the girl in a wedding dress, and it's all been graffitied. The walls all graffitied as well. You've not seen that one?
Right, so the walls graffitied and the dresses, did you say?
Yeah, I bought a cheap white wedding dress from Shein, and then we bought 3 tins of the kind of stuff you'd use for graffiti. Spray paint, which is more expensive than the dress. And then we just sprayed the dress, and there's I shot it out my way. There's a disused sports centre, and somebody, I don't know who it was, had basically knocked a circular hole in the wall of the bricks.
Really?
So I got to stand in, and
Ooh,
she had like the
that's
wedding dress
cool.
on, but sort of big chunky black boots.
Yeah.
And then the spray, and that was from a kind of throwaway picture of Angelina Jolie at some kind of function, and Annie Leibovitz was doing pictures, and then
Yeah.
somebody had a spray gun for doing something else, and she sprayed a little bit on her dress, and that's all it was. It wasn't like an
Really?
yeah. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea.
That's so funny. I feel like you and me are quite similar in that respect because I've got a project at the moment, hand painting dresses
Yeah.
and wedding dresses, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I love kind of mixing the photography and art together and doing something a bit more different, which is really fun. Also, have you seen that? Oh God, who was it? Alexander McQueen. He did a runway show where he had a model in a big white dress stood at the end of the stage, and then he had two robots that had spray painting,
Oh, wow, no.
like heads on. I don't know, but they moved kind of like this, and she was on a spinning podium. Like
Oh,
this,
wow.
moving while the dress was getting spray painted live for everyone to see, and then she did the runway. And I was like, that's amazing!
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God! And like, that's
Yeah.
something I'd love to do, is like literally get a girl to stand in the street somewhere and just spray paint the dress and then get her to walk, like, you know.
It wouldn't be
Just
as
go off
intricate
shopping.
as your design.
I could not.
The thing I was amazed when I saw your little kind of your video of it was when you were painting yourself. I'm thinking, how does that work? Because I think some of it would be like, I don't know, it's
awkward
because I'm
angles.
left-handed, or I think I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm trying to paint something up, trying to,
So
you know.
hard. Yeah. Do you know what I didn't think about though? Because the first time I painted my body, I only did the side that you can use your right hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I was doing it live in front of a bunch of videographers and photographers, I was painting the whole body, which meant I had to use my left hand, which I don't know how to use, while looking in a mirror and trying to paint.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Oh
well,
my
well
goodness. It was, the sweat pouring from the forehead, you know, the stress of it. You're like, oh my God. But luckily with my style, when it's flowers, is you can hide a mistake quite easily. Just whack another petal on if it goes wrong.
Done. Look good, though. Look good.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. We should collaborate on something arty one day. That'd be really fun.
Well, drawing was the only thing I was good at school.
I really.
Yeah, and I can remember as a kid, when I was with my parents and we went wherever we went, relatives, or it'd be like, just stick me in the corner room with a piece of paper and a pencil.
Oh, fantastic.
And, art college, and then doing it's like I always feel odd now wearing a suit, because with film and TV stuff, that's about the only time I wear a suit.
Really?
And I immediately feel, my age, I suppose, because from art college all the way through work, I just pretty much dress exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah, jeans and t-shirts
You
is
have
like,
quite a quirky style though, and I like it because I feel like you're expressing yourself. You look like an art director.
well, that's
I don't think you guys can see, but he's got like pointy cowboy boots on at the moment. We're both appreciating each other's boots earlier, weren't we?
Yes, yeah,
I think they're great though, and I like the jacket too. It's cool.
yes, yeah. I just kind of wear the same stuff as I always have done.
That works
suppose.
for you. That's you. That's who you are.
I'd love to know how many pairs of Levi 501s I've had, because I found someone posted a picture of me. That was my brother, and it must have been probably 1969, I reckon. Mm-hmm. Because after that, I had hair, really long hair, and I didn't have long hair in this photograph, but I had very new-looking jeans on, which I think my mum must have bought me. But anyway.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I love Levi's. So can I ask, how did you get into taking portraits of musicians and for record companies?
Yeah.
Did that come about?
Well, that came about because one of my neighbours is a musician, a bass player, young guy, and I've photographed some of the bands he's played in, and he lives locally, and he said to me, "Can you do me some portraits?" So we did some in my kitchen studio, and then he said, "I've got an album coming out. Can we shoot? I'd like you to shoot the cover." So we went out and did some really weird pictures, which I must admit, I was thinking, I'm not sure about these. He insisted on going down to the Thames, and we're not that far from the Thames, but ended up in Shepperton.
Okay.
And we got down there, and it was in the summer, admittedly, but it was getting dark. I'm thinking, and it got darker and darker. And everywhere I went and said, "Oh, this looks like a nice little spot,"
Yeah.
he'd go, "Oh yes, this is where Jane and I used to." And eventually I found out this is where he went with this girl he wasn't going out with anymore. So it was kind of reminiscing. But anyway, yeah, we ended the cover ended up him standing under a street lamp, which was that really orangey kind of. It was all right. I mean, he loved it. And then the record company, which normally deal with kind of like retro reissue 70s stuff, like that, naming people like me that, oh, right, you bought that. You probably bought the vinyl originally, then you bought the CD, and then this is another CD, but it's got extra bits on, like extra live and, rehearsals, recordings and stuff. Well, but they also do new stuff, and they saw the pictures I'd done and said, "Oh, who shot these?" And then they contacted me, and I've done quite a few. The oldest one I've done was the most recent one. Was Randy Edelman.
Randy Edelman?
Yeah, he was a singer-songwriter in the 70s, American. He's kind of like a poor... I better not know what I'm saying here. He's a bit like... he's a bit like a sort of Billy Joel, Elton John style thing. And he had ringlet hair and very sort of 70s. And then he moved away from doing his own songs to doing film and TV soundtracks. He did...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did The Last of the Mohicans, and he did as a film, and he did MacGyver on the telly. But anyway, somehow or other, I'm not sure, this record company, they contact me and say, "Do you want to do some pictures of so-and-so?" And the nice thing with them, in fact, all the jobs I've done for them, they never tell me what they want. And I've asked, the first few times I asked, "So what's this for? Is it an album cover?" And they were... It's just go and do some pictures, and I've done all sorts. I had the original guitar player for Genesis.
Yeah. Wow.
Shot him. Went to his house in South London. I've never seen so many guitars.
I bet.
And he was brilliant. The guy from these are all 70s bands. Van de Graaff Generator.
Van de Graaff Generator.
Yeah. My brother's a huge fan of this, and I shot Edgar Broughton, who was another they're all early 70s musicians, so they're all, and I always figured, right, these people are 10 years older than me, so they must be really knocking on a bit, and they are. And I shot the first one was the sound engineer for Pink Floyd.
No way.
They said to me, "Do you know Andy Jackson?" I went, "No." And so went to do these pictures of him, and despite the fact I know, like I just said, the age of these people, I arranged to meet them at Chiswick Park Tube Station. I was sitting there waiting for some bloke to come in round the corner with like he's walked straight out of the early 70s. And of course, he didn't. He came round the corner with a sports jacket on and a shirt and tie.
No way. That's so funny.
And it's like, yeah, and he's recorded his own album,
Fantastic.
a couple of albums, and unsurprisingly, they sound like Pink Floyd. But that was, he said to me, well, I asked him, I said, "I don't know what this is for," and he went, "No, neither do I." So we just did some portraits.
That's so cool.
But I did before that. I did portraits when I was doing stuff for the music magazines, because my brother writes. We got quite a few interviews with people, and he'd do the interview, and then I'd maybe try and get some pictures.
Yeah.
And that was always quite a challenge, because we'd meet these people at some hotel in Hyde Park, somewhere or other, and my brother would sit down and chat, and they'd overrun how long the interview
and then you have
was.
to try and get those photos.
And then it was like, well, they were about to go and get a cab back to Heathrow or something. Yeah. It's like, "Can I do some pictures?" Yeah. And if they were inside, it's just stand over by the window or whatever. And I did. I shot Bill Wyman from the Rolling Stones. That was quite interesting. That was for a Japanese guitar magazine.
How random. Fair enough.
Wow.
Can I ask, actually, what are you looking for when you're trying to capture a personality of one of these big musicians? Like, what gives you that shot?
I don't know. It's the character. I mean, again, like I've just said, when I've been put in these situations where it's like, we've got to do a picture here and now.
Yeah.
So make the most of it. These recent ones, they've been...
Have you got a way to get them to snap into what you need for that?
Well,
photo?
I find a lot of these musicians, because I know of them and I know the names,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my, they're going to be really horrible.
Yeah.
And that they're just not. I mean,
Really
the guy from
lovely
Genesis
people.
kept saying, "Do you guys want some more coffee?" And then, we could sit here, I could sit there, and I was giving him some directions. Again, it was like, "Can you just sit a bit near the window?"
Yeah. Get that natural light in.
Yeah, and I mean, the other guy from Van de Graaff Generator, we all went down to where did he live? Near Bath somewhere or other. And he was great. He met us at the station, and he took us around all these little places. This might be quite good, and sort of some old barns. And I got my brother to hold a strobe for me and stuff, and yeah, it was. But this, we'll just try and catch the personality. I mean, the Bill Wyman thing. We were warned that there's a friend of mine who's Japanese. That's why I was doing it for a Japanese guitar magazine. He is a musician, and Bill Wyman was launching his own brand of bass guitars. And Bill Wyman's tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So these guitars, he said, were
tiny? How tiny?
He's quite small, like you, I suppose.
Really?
Quite petite. He's very petite. Very petite.
Oh.
And he said these bass guitars were designed for beginners, women, small people. He's got tiny hands.
Mm-hmm.
But he's ex-Rolling Stones. He's very, very famous. He's got his own restaurant. We were told to meet him at the restaurant. We were told, don't mention the Rolling Stones. How about that?
Why?
Because he left the Rolling Stones, but
yeah,
and he's got his own band that does stuff.
Yeah,
but basically he doesn't really need to do anything.
Fair enough.
He's well enough off.
Yeah,
but he does. He's got his own band. But anyway, I got there early. He says to me, "Are you?" He sort of came and said hello. "Are you a Nikon or a Canon man?" I said, "I'm a Nikon man." "Oh, well done." And then his people said, "Right, there's going to be this can't be a photo shoot. So I did say, Bill, stand over by the door. He had the guitar in front of him. I took about 4 shots, and then that was it.
Was it.
It was a nice. I look at them now and think, wouldn't it be nice to do something a little bit different? But
you still got those shots.
You just got to do it.
Make the most of it while you can. Can I ask, is there a certain picture or project that means probably more to you than the rest? Like one that's personal to you?
Well, I mean, my angel wings thing's very. I do like that. I mean, although I'm thinking the scenarios where we could, because I entered one of those pictures into a competition, and the judge, supposed judge, didn't like it at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they have no creative talent.
I love that.
Not an ounce of. No, it's don't get me started.
What did he go? It doesn't make sense having wings in the city.
Well, it was the one that.
Boring.
Yes, because the first series was shot in Brick Lane. So she was wearing like Converse, and I got those. Well, in fact, you did it for me as well. I've got a thing about those junction boxes. They're quite good for people to perch on.
Yeah.
The telephone junction boxes.
I had so much fun posting on that.
Yeah, you were sat in a few of the.
Yeah.
Well, she was sat on those. She's got little kind of like Converse trainers. She's got the wings behind her. And it's like, scruffy old. And this judge said, why isn't she in a graveyard? It's like,
why isn't she in a graveyard? It's so predictable.
I know, exactly.
How do you keep yourself creatively inspired now that you work for yourself?
I'm just constantly. I mean, someone was saying how prolific. One of the other funny camera club people was saying, "You're prolific," and I said, if I'm not doing photography, I'm thinking about doing photography.
Mm-hmm. I'm like that with my
daughter's told me off because I've now got quite an extensive library of really expensive photography. But I'm always looking at stuff.
No, but wait, were you going to say you spent a lot of money on books? I don't think you can ever get in trouble for that. That is something that you should be spending your money on. Me spending hundreds on shoes, I mean, I am a model, so there is a bit of an excuse there, but I'd much rather have lots of books that feed my brain and inspire me.
You'd like my daughter's shoes she bought for her wedding in August then.
So do you think your skills from being an art director help you with your photography?
Yes.
Yeah.
Composition. Yeah, composition, definitely. It just so...
And that's difficult, composition, to get it right.
Yeah, well, you see, again, I know it's just, I find it easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I guess it's
you've
like
done
with
it for
work,
so
because I
long,
was
probably.
drawing, if I'm doing a layout for an advert or, you just, I don't know, it just happens.
Yeah.
And, I'm always, people have commented on my stuff, they go, "Ooh, nice composition."
Yeah.
And I'm always, I just do it.
That's amazing. It's nice that it comes naturally to you.
I think so, yeah. It's probably more natural than, I still fiddle around with camera and a bit thinking, I wish I knew how to do such and such. But, yeah, it's just the composition sort of thing, just seems to...
Yeah, that's so helpful. That's great that you can combine the two.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for anyone that feels stuck creatively?
Well, I always try and encourage, back to the camera club again, I always try and encourage people to get out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Most of the people I know are like me, they're kind of retired, so you got the time, so why not do it?
Yeah, exactly.
There was someone the other day on an interview on YouTube, some photographer, and he said the way to get better is to take more pictures. And of course now, unless you're going to go and experiment with film, it's digital. Why not?
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's all right.
You've been amazing to chat to. You've got such an interesting past, and I can't wait to see what you create next.
Well,
Can I ask, where can people find you? Where can they find your work?
Instagram, Red Cap Photo.
Red Cap Photo.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been amazing and can't wait for next time. See you later. Creative Conversations was hosted by Sophia Gray. It was recorded at Granary Studios audio production by Granary Digital, additional production support and editing by James Jones. For more information, visit our website at granary.digital. To contact the show, email podcast@granary.digital. Please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on social media.